How did you get into a career in AI?
I was interested in electronics. It was a passion that I've been continuing for a very long time. It's interesting. At the time, I will admit, I was very split between doing something like electronics or philosophy. Complete opposite. And in a way, I decided to go for the career in electronics simply because, again, from a practical implementation, a practical point of view, it was something that allowed me to still pursue my philosophy endeavors, if you like, but as a side thing, something that I would do for myself rather than something as a job. The electronics environment afforded me that opportunity to basically continue my passion on a very practical, very kind of very work-oriented sort of way. And again, sometimes at my age, you start kind of looking back and thinking, maybe I should have done the other way. I should have gone the other way. But it's a kind of moot point, really, because the technology side is so open, it affords so much in terms of development, in terms of personal development and so on. There isn't a question. Every time I look back, I would have done exactly the same. It's definitely something there, and it's personal development, but also there's, technology allows you to do things which are useful for everybody. Especially the microelectronics work that we're doing at the moment feels like artificial intelligence and machine learning, feels like robotics. They are really having a direct impact. But even before that, everyone has got a mobile phone now, and that couldn't have happened without the microelectronics that we've been working on. So the scope, the opportunities are so wide, so wide ranging, and they can really affect the way we work in a positive way. And that's really what kind of kept me going. The change I've made in my career have gone from really helping customers working on audio-video devices, now working on machine learning. We're looking at options to basically increase the intelligence by reducing the power, which again allows us to have more devices around us. Opens up a lot of very interesting ethical questions. We're talking about philosophy again, and there is that part of the equation is still very much part of my day-to-day work. Yeah, it was definitely, the fact that I kind of ended up doing electronics was really down to a curiosity, which then kind of took hold, and it continues snowballed into a career choice. And I say to everybody, it's always the same. When you choose a career, choose wisely, because if you choose something that you like doing, you never work, because effectively every day is like playing. It's just kind of continue that passion. And for me, that was definitely the case. And to be honest with you, everyone I talk to in electronics feel the same.
Really not as hard as some people might think. So what I would suggest is, if you are a student in high school, university, doesn't matter, I would say build up your math stats knowledge. And I think lots of universities these days, I think basically all of them provide courses on machine learning or fundamentals, the math behind it. I think it would be a great start to start taking these courses if you're interested. I think these not only prepare you for the career, also it give you a sense to see how, if you will like it to begin with. I wouldn't want to like push anybody saying, oh, this is great, everyone should do it. I think you really should expose yourself into the field first to see if you really like it, if this is something for you. And then this course also, I think they really prepare you well for going into the industry, especially if you're going for a grad role. I think these courses are more than enough.
Became interested in startups. I decided I wanted to get involved in the world of startups and maybe even start my own. And so I joined a startup program based in London called Entrepreneur First, which is basically where you can go to this, it's almost like a 6-month program where you meet lots of other people and they help you come up with an idea, meet a co-founder and start your own startup. And the first phase of this is meeting lots of different people and seeing if there's any ideas that you sort of, that spark, that seem like they got something, and see if you meet someone you really click with. And so I, during that process, met lots of different people working in different areas, and in particular met my co-founder James, who I started Unitary with, and he was working on AI applied to images and videos. So how can you build AI models to automatically understand content in images and videos? I thought that was just really exciting.
How I got into it is more like I said. So to begin with, I had to pick out the best department I could study in. And then I found that, okay, this this department is best, and then you just make the best of the situation you have. So it can easily happen in life. You plan something else and then you have to change the course. The way I progressed on it is took some courses around it, which were there and interesting. I found it more interesting. Then I published a paper that got me into scholarship called Marie Curie Fellowship from European Union. Based on that scholarship, then I ended up getting a fully funded place at Imperial. And from then onwards, I haven't looked back. It was all progress in the computer science and machine learning field.
I wanted to be a spy when I grew up, and I ended up being an accountant. And then I ended up joining tech and the world of startups. And I think that route, particularly between accounting and financial services and tech, was driven by curiosity and just an interest in new things or things that were different in the area that I was already in. And an interest in those things, I think, automatically leads you into the world of tech, because you're building new kind of innovative products and trying to change some part of the world in some sense, and usually trying to improve something and create a solution to a problem that either you or other people have.
Started with the traditional path, like starting with computer science. But there's one thing people don't really tell you if you go really directly into the data science and machine learning is it's better if you already have like a good engineering background, especially like a software development background. You don't have to go through, I don't believe you have to necessarily go through an engineering school or something like that for that, because some of the best, let's say, engineers I know actually are formed themselves online following classes. From there, like from engineering school, I went to university. So again, classical background, did a few years in academia also. But when I actually, after this career break, I formed myself again and deeper into natural language processing, I went through online classes. There's tons of online classes around, more or less expensive. You have some pretty good content on a platform like Coursera or Udemy, tons of data sets like, let's say, you can play with, which are available on stuff like Kaggle. So definitely something I recommend if you want to get into that. And something you'll have to do anyway, even if you have let's say a classical background, you'll have to stay up to date with technologies and you keep finding really good quality content online on these different platforms.
If you are a professional already working on something else, I would suggest you take some online courses. There are lots of great, fantastic open courses online available, provided by, say, for example, Stanford or MIT. They're just freely available on YouTube, so you can just watch them and you can control your own pace. I think it's something really easy to get onto, especially if you're into like math or logic, stats. I think it would be great. Yeah.
For me, that entry was through the world of blockchain and crypto. And I ended up doing a lot of research in how you do accounting for crypto assets and things like Bitcoin, because back at that time, they were still relatively new concepts, and definitely in the accounting world, no one had written accounting standards and rules for things like Bitcoin because they didn't exist. So it was a very interesting project and experience to try and take a very sort of old world rules, see how they should apply to this new thing, and then do a lot of work in that area to make sure that it worked for the context that we were in. So that one sort of project, if you like, was a series of things that I worked on, really sparked my interest in working in tech more generally and in kind of blockchain and crypto to start with, but eventually led me to move from that industry and try and start my own business because I was so interested to build something from the ground up. And that's how I kind of entered into the world of tech and startups. And I didn't stay in blockchain necessarily, but other industries and other technologies like AI, like content moderation, which is kind of the space that I now work in, online safety, also became really interesting. And I just saw how I could apply the same thinking and skills to different areas.
It didn't start in computer science or machine learning. I'm a telecommunications and I'm a circuit design engineer. I worked as a circuit design engineer. And then when I changed the course, so I would say in a nutshell, don't be afraid to switch over even if you're doing something else. If you put your heart to it, you can succeed. quite well.
I rarely find somebody who's actually completely changed career once they get into microelectronics. And I think it's a testament to the fact that there's so much going on. It's so fast paced. There's always something new. There's always something to learn, something to develop and discover. And that's an interesting thing. In other fields, I know friends that basically kind of moved around and they basically ended up doing slightly different things. But when you kind of get into the electronics field, it's very rare, in my experience, to actually see people moving around, which to me means something.